What is up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Not So Stupid podcast. Today's episode, we have my good friend Scarlett Leung on the podcast. She is the CEO and co-founder of SugarBreak, which is an amazing, revolutionary new company that is helping diabetics, pre-diabetics, and us non-diabetics alike in managing our blood sugar. Scarlett started her journey by accessing her passion about finding a solution for blood sugar management that was both natural and accessible, because a lot of the medicines that people in the diabetic community have to take are egregiously marked up and overpriced. So she was trying to find that solution, and she did that by tapping into her belief in herbal medicine to lead the way to designing the SugarBreak product line. Having witnessed a close friend struggle with type 1 diabetes, she was motivated to join forces with the other SugarBreak co-founders to create this contemporary end-to-end solution for blood sugar management. Scarlett is empathetically driven by the human experience, having led successful businesses across fashion, grocery, and fertility with the common ground of consumer-oriented strategy. And I can tell you firsthand, Scarlett is one of the nicest people that I've ever met all around, honestly. She is a joy to have on the show. The passion for creating this solution really shows in how she talks about it and her drive to creating such an impactful product. My father is a pre-diabetic as well, and he has been taking these products for a while, and you're going to hear us talk about it through the show. And I've also tried it out for myself, and they really do have a noticeable impact on your health and on your blood sugar. Not just measurable. When you're measuring your blood sugar, you feel the difference in your body, which is super, super cool. I can't wait for you guys to hear my experience with it, her experience with it, and then the other stories that we're going to share throughout this podcast, as well as the science for why these things work. But before going into it, Scarlett, like I said, is a very nice person, and she created the discount code JUMA for 15% off all SugarBreakProducts.com. JUMA is Jumha. I don't get anything from this. This is purely a discount for the listeners to use to get the product at a cheaper rate. Again, I'm not getting anything out of this. This is her extending niceness to the listeners of the Not So Stupid podcast to try out this product if they feel like this is something that can benefit them and benefit their health. So if you listen to this podcast and resonate with anything we're saying about who can benefit from these products and the change it can have in your life, definitely go to SugarBreak.com, which is linked in the show notes. Type in code JUMA for 15% off, and you can try it out for yourself. But without further ado, here is the interview with SugarBreak co-founder Scarlett Leung. Scarlett Leung, welcome to the Not So Stupid podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be on your podcast and to get to speak to you.
Yeah, no, I'm excited too. I was really happy our first conversation when we had our phone call together talking about, what you do. And I was like, man, this is going to be so helpful for a lot of people. So having you on is going to be a blast, I'm sure.
I mean, you're the first person I've known before a podcast, so this was really helpful, and I'm excited to dive in and talk more about what we spoke about previously.
For sure. So now, to stop kind of alluding people to it, why don't you tell people, about you, how you got to where you're at, and what you actually do?
Yeah, of course. My name is Scarlett. I'm CEO and co-founder of a company called SugarBreak. And our mission is to help people manage blood sugar more easily. And we do this through a non-prescription support system of products that use natural ingredients that have been clinically tested to be efficacious and designed in a way that it seamlessly fits into your lifestyle. So we have 6 products now, but our sort of core 3 concepts that our products are designed around is, one, we have our resist strip, which is like a Listerine strip with the added benefit of blocking the taste of sweet. And so if you put it in your mouth, you put sugar in your mouth, it'd feel like sand in your mouth immediately. Did you try that experiment?
Yeah, I did actually. It's kind of mind-blowing.
And so it's been really effective in helping people curb their sugar cravings, because 90% of Americans are trying to eat less sugar, but we don't have any tools there to help people. Our second product is called Stabilize. It's a natural carbon sugar blocker. So it helps you reduce the impact of eating carbs and sugars and that blood sugar spike and crash that you get. So as a result, you don't get the post-meal carb coma. Diabetics don't need to, have the same amount of insulin because our blood sugar is more steady. Keto, you stay in ketosis longer. And I know for, the fitness folks who have whoops and auras are telling me that their metabolic rate and recovery rate is better.
Mhm.
And then our last product is Reduce, which is like a daily vitamin that helps you maintain a healthy blood sugar. And, the reason why I'm so passionate about sugar and blood sugar is that 1 in 3 Americans are pre-diabetic or diabetic. And even in latest stats, some saying are 1 in 2. And if anything was that prevalent, we would pretty much say everyone has it. And it was shocking to me that there weren't any tools out there other than pharmaceutical drugs where you have to be quite severe to get prescribed it, or willpower driven lifestyle changes, which, as a coach yourself, that you need more than just, that sometimes
Right.
to help people with blood sugar. So I really wanted to create something that was easy and help move the needle so that more people could, have a healthier lifestyle and hopefully never deal with diabetes. And, a close friend of mine got diagnosed with type 1 a few years ago, and I saw firsthand how difficult it was, and, how multifaceted this chronic disease is. It's beyond, there's a lot of emotional weight carried with that, a lot of shame. So, our packaging is colorful because we really wanted to sort of alleviate that and make people feel empowered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you definitely have really fun packaging. That was one thing I want to compliment you guys about. It's definitely the funnest in my supplement cabinet by far, which is awesome. Definitely accomplished your goal there.
Yeah, we wanted to stand out, and we wanted people to feel, as joyful as you could be taking a supplement in the morning.
Sure. Yeah, no, I actually like that a lot because when you say it like that, how people that have diabetes, they'll go through their medication and it's like, ugh, I have to take this, and it's kind of
Yeah.
like a sadder thing because on top of that, I should say, not because on top of that, the prescription bottle is this really ugly, bland looking thing that makes the experience seem even worse. You
Right.
have this to kind of change things up and give them kind of hope in a way that maybe they're not having from these other things.
Yeah,
I love that.
exactly.
Amazing. So now, I actually would love for you to kind of, we're going to start at the top and make our way down, right? So this is in a way to stop and prevent and limit how many people get diagnosed with diabetes, right?
Right.
On the extreme end. Can you tell people more about type 1 diabetes, what it is, and like how it impacts their lives? Because I feel like that's a word that gets thrown around a lot, and
Right.
people have an idea of what it is, but don't actually fully understand it. So I think that would be really helpful.
Right. So there are a few type of diabetes, and I
Mhm.
should caveat that I am not a doctor,
Mhm.
but diabetes is a condition that impacts how your body processes food into energy. And really, we process food into glucose. Glucose gets taken into cells. That becomes energy. There's type 1, type 2, and now there are other types, type 1.5 or
Mhm.
latent um, diabetes. But in type 1, it used to be called juvenile diabetes because it was more genetically driven and only diagnosed in children. We're
Mhm.
actually seeing adults like my friend get diagnosed now. So now it's a type in itself. And
Mhm.
that's where your body's attacking your pancreas that produces insulin. And
Mhm.
insulin is a hormone that transports glucose into your cells as energy. So
Mhm.
then when you eat something and your body processes it into glucose, into sugar, it has nowhere to go. Like it needs
Mhm.
to go into your body's energy. It can't, the hormone there isn't sufficient for that.
Mhm.
Um, and of course, like accumulates in your blood becomes very dangerous. Higher sugar in general is already dangerous, but like, that's when um, all sorts of things like, inflammation, dementia, like aging, like all of that is a result of higher blood sugar. And you also hear about like, going blind and
Mhm.
all of those other things. And type 2 is where your body just is is producing insulin, but it's not processing it the way as efficient as it should be.
Mhm.
So, you know, that's when people have really high blood sugar spikes. Like it's a result of insulin resistance. So you maybe don't have insulin, you do have insulin, but it's not efficiently bringing it into your cells, or it's just you're processing it too quickly and it's staying within your blood vessels, so causing issues over time.
Hmm.
That is, a whole slew of reasons why you get that. There's lifestyle reasons, environmental reasons, and as well as genetic reasons behind it as well.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's actually really crazy. And I think that, recognizing that, it's obviously you have to have so much more mindfulness and awareness around everything you're eating at that point. It has to be super meticulous to um, manage that and make sure that it's not ruining your life in a negative way, like you said, because it can get really out of hand if you're not careful. So preventing this, especially since it's so common, becomes that much more important, right? Um, what are now bringing it back down a step, right? I started with the most extreme. I'm coming back down
Yeah.
now. What are some signs of being pre-diabetic and things to kind of look for in that realm to kind of create awareness around people? Because I think most people don't know until it's too late, like you said. So
Absolutely. So 80% of people who are pre-diabetic don't know that they're pre-diabetic, and
wow,
that's over 70 million Americans,
it's crazy.
conservatively. And so, part of it's like we don't have the information, right? Which is why I'm so excited about the advancements in technology and wearables where, Google and Apple are also bring
Hmm.
blood sugar into, their technology, because we don't when was the last time you went to a doctor and they're like, I'm going to run a blood sugar, panel on you? And when you do, normally it's after you've been fasting, right? So it's a
Hmm.
fasting blood sugar. But a lot of the early signs are how your body reacts to digestion of food after you eat, and you don't really get that data. And
Hmm.
so when people do realize it's late, right? Like, maybe you're like going to the bathroom a lot, you're feeling really tired, you're getting those like dizzy spells, and that is already you're progressed farther and closer to becoming diabetic than had you caught it earlier. The statistics are that the average person in America gets diagnosed with type 2 in their late 30s,
Hmm.
and within 5 years they become diabetic. And
Wow.
even under clinical supervision, only 30% of people are able to delay that by 2 years. So it's not even completely reverse. It's delaying it just by a little bit. And that means you're spending the next 40 years of your life being really careful,
Hmm.
managing this, and having this sort of cloud hang over your head where you need to constantly rethink everything that you do in order to manage your blood sugar properly.
Hmm. No, that's really crazy that once most people recognize it or have an idea that this is happening, you can't even stop it. You can only just slow it down. That's actually a really crazy thing. I didn't even know that. Uh, but man, okay. So now those are some cool. Go ahead. You want to say
I
something?
was like, I don't wanna scare people, but, like, I really, really want people to measure their blood sugar and, whatever, go talk to their doctor, just get more information. It can't hurt you.
Right. Yeah. Because again, it's like you said, 80% of people that have it don't even know they have it.
Yeah,
If you just get a quick checkup, ask about it, 2 seconds, you ask about it,
yeah,
it can really clear things up for you, give you that confidence you need, slow things down, or
yeah,
um, at least ease your mind in the best case scenario, right?
right.
Can you actually talk about different ways that people can check their blood sugar? Because again, this is something that also people don't know that I
Yeah.
think would really be helpful.
Yes, the easiest way is go to your doctor when you get your annual checkup. Ask for your blood sugar to also be tested. You can always buy a blood glucose monitor. They're the finger pricking kind. It's not fun, but you can just get it at a drugstore, or you can get a continuous glucose monitor. There are a lot of companies out there that now provide that. I think even, I mentioned, wearables like a Whoop and Aura, those actually have some sort of, they don't measure blood sugar, but have some early indications of what your blood sugar is, because it's sort of correlated to that. So there are many ways, and I know that there are companies working on non-invasive ones that I can't wait for them to be released into the market so more people have access to it.
Yeah, no, I've definitely seen one of the coolest ones I've seen is from our mutual friend Chase Tuning. He's been using the levels continuous
Yeah,
glucose monitor, which I think is super cool. He just always has it on his hand or on his arm, stuck to his arm, and
yeah.
looks at it through the app in real time and sees how his blood glucose is changing. It's really crazy.
Yeah, it's great. It's like the Abbott one that is effective enough for diabetics to even track their blood sugar. So um, I love seeing this sort of accessibility to technology.
hmm Yeah, and I have an Aura ring right now. You mentioned it a couple
Yeah,
times, and I'm going to talk about what I've seen when I take the different products, but they're upgrading their Aura Ring, and on the 3.0 version that I'm hopefully going to be getting soon, there is more specific blood sugar monitoring on it, which is like super promising. And it's like it's not invasive; it's just a ring, but they take those uh, complementary indicators, that you had mentioned,
yeah.
and kind of come and let you know, like, hey, things are good. Maybe you should check this out, or hey, it's been a few days and things aren't looking too good for you. Get a more specific reading, more accurate reading of your blood sugar, which I think is going to be amazing. Um, when I get it, I'm super excited to get it if you can't tell. And I can't wait to kind of dive deeper on the data of my own body.
And I can't wait for you to tell me how our products change those numbers when you take them.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be great to share. Now, okay, coming down a level again. So now we went through people that are already
Yeah,
diabetic, the pre-diabetics, and now like healthy people that quote unquote, I should say quote unquote healthy people, 'cause some people, like you said, 80%
right.
aren't fully aware, but I don't want to scare anyone. Um, what importance does managing their blood sugar have, even if they're not near being pre-diabetic? Right. And you
Right.
mentioned a couple things, but going into more detail would be helpful.
Yeah, so I think, we sort of touched on it, but having too much sugar and inflammation in your blood vessels is over time causes a lot of damage, you know, at a very sort of superficial, like, your appearance and aging.
Hmm
Even, Alzheimer's, dementia, like that is that sort of breaking down of like your brain cells that is impacted by sugar, heart disease, diabetes, we know, of course, blood pressure, because you have too much sugar, your blood vessel starts breaking down a little. That all gets impacted by blood sugar. And also the other thing is pre-diabetes and diabetes doesn't happen overnight. It is a constant, for the most part, a constant sort of pressure on your body that over time builds up into diabetes. And that is insulin resistance. So every time you eat, your pancreas that produces insulin releases insulin to help transport the glucose into energy, right? But if you constantly eat fast, digesting things like simple carbs, you get this sudden rush of glucose into your cells. So then your pancreas produces all this insulin to counteract it because they're like, we have all the sugar, we got to use it up now. And then you get your blood sugar crash, which is, everyone knows the carb coma, but no one really knows why, right?
hmm
um, and then this sort of crash, you overproduce it, and then you keep on repeating this over and over again. Like it starts to, your pancreas gets really exhausted because it's sort of like a sprint stop.
hmm
But also because of these big rushes, like it also becomes less sensitive, your cells become less sensitive to insulin, and over time this resistance then starts creating bigger issues.
hmm Well, that's actually a really helpful perspective on it because I think like the pattern that you talked about is super common around. I see it with new people that I work with,
Yeah,
and their eating habits and their eating patterns. It's constantly like quick thing to eat and then stop, get a crash, get another quick thing, and then repeat throughout the day, 5 days a week at least, right?
right. Or it's like your cheat days, right? You're so good.
Mm,
You're having all like your vegetables, your fiber, so everything's slow digesting. And then one day you're just like, you know what? I'm just going to have all the pizza, fries, burger. And your body's like, what is happening?
mhm,
And it goes into this sort of shock pattern. And like there are small things that you have amazing sort of graphics on your social about like
Oh, thank you.
cheat and like, how you have more fiber and you can have more food, and less calories. There are small things like having, a salad before you eat something that has carbs that slows down your digestion. And then you don't
Hmm.
have the same kind of blood sugar spike. That's helpful. And of course, our products are there to make it easier as well.
Yeah, no, I love that you pointed that out. Is sometimes it's not just having the thing itself; it's having it alone, and you can kind of accompany it
Yeah.
to make things, make your body respond more appropriately, right? I love that you pointed that out. So now we know the importance of blood sugar management and understanding. How do your products help with that very specifically, right? I would like to kind of go into the deeper science of each one, if you don't mind,
Yes.
and seeing how it actually impacts the the insides of your body, right?
Yeah. So, 90% of Americans are trying to eat less sugar, but we can't help ourselves.
Right.
And not unique to this country, everyone else, because like sugar is meant to be addictive, right?
Yeah,
You eat sugar, you get a dopamine hit, you love that high, you have more of it. And a lot of processed foods are also made to be addictive.
of
So
course.
our resist strip, which is that Listerine strip that I spoke about, it has this Ayurvedic herb in it called gymnema. And in Hindi, it's translate to sugar destroyer. And part of the gennemic acid, it actually mimics the sugar molecule. So you put it on your tongue, it actually lodges itself in your taste bud that tastes sweet and blocks it. So
Mm,
for an hour, you can't taste sweet at all. If you had something savory like a burger, it would taste exactly the same. Unless you use regular ketchup, which is very sweet, then that
mhm.
would taste different. And so over time, it's been proven by the Cleveland Clinic that 7 to 10 days, your brain stops craving sugar the same way and you break off that sugar addiction. So we wanted our product to be super easy to use. I call it willpower in your pocket. And when you're craving for that cookie, or and that you do it at night before bedtime, just pop a strip and don't have it. Or maybe have that cookie but have the strip after so you don't eat the whole bag.
Mhm.
Like, it's about giving you the choice, and a little bit of um willpower to combat those choices and take a step back.
Yeah.
um
Can I say something about resist really
yes.
quick? Yeah. So that scenario is pretty much how I use resist, right? It's the nighttime craving that comes up. And depending on how my day went, if I already had sweets or dessert earlier in the day, I'm like, I don't, even though I'm craving it, I shouldn't be having it again. Um, I'll just pop in a resist strip, drink some water, and wait a little bit, and then my craving is completely gone after that. And I did that nightly, not nightly, I should say, maybe every other night for a couple weeks.
I'm not
And
auditing you. I'm like, are you sure it's every night?
yeah, no, no, I want to be honest with myself when I say those kind of words. But yeah, no, it was like every other night. I would say 3 to 5 times a week. For 2 weeks. And ever since, I really haven't had an issue with nighttime cravings, and that was like a daily occurrence for me. Especially like pre-travel. I just did this after like a long extended trip. Um, Out of the country, so I was like getting back into new routines again in my home, and no issues with trying to resist. And I like that you say it's like a willpower assister in that way, because now your body is working with you to do the thing you logically should be doing, as opposed to resisting you in accomplishing that goal, which is really really cool.
I'm so happy to hear. I love hearing real life anecdotes on how it fits into people's lifestyle.
Mhm. Oh, and of course, also adding, my dad. I had told you about my dad already. He's diabetic, and he was taking it for a period of time, and super helpful for him as well. Because when he would come home from work, he wanted to eat kind of everything. Uh, in a Even though he was like good, right, quote unquote good, the rest of the day, at night after work, when you're exhausted and stressed out, you want to reach for these different foods. But he would pop that in for a few days, and he did that for a few days and saw a massive difference in his blood sugar. His doctor was kind of impressed with it, and yeah, it worked really well for him as well.
Oh, that's great. Did he take Resist and or other products?
He took resist in the evening, and he took reduce before his first meal.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So I guess you talked about reduce. I'll talk about reduce. And
Yeah.
reduce is that vitamin that I spoke about that helps you maintain a healthy blood sugar. And the way that it does that, it has a formulated with 4 powerful herbs that help you combat high blood sugar. And I talked about all the different reasons why you could have high blood sugar. So,
Mhm.
say, one of the ingredients is fenugreek. It's the highest in fiber in all plants, and it helps slow down the digestion of food so that you don't get that surge of glucose into your blood. And then it has gymnema again in it, where when ingested, it actually blocks sugar from being absorbed within your gut, and has also shown to help with the regeneration of beta cells in your pancreas that produce insulin. There's also banaba leaf extract, which helps make insulin more efficient um, in transporting glucose into your bloodstream, and also has green tea extract that helps speed up your metabolism and energy usage. So combined together, they've been really effective in helping a lot of people achieve the healthy blood sugar that they want.
Mhm. That's really cool. So I had a question about this one specifically
Oh,
because, um, I read on your site a bunch of the different studies that you guys had linked
yeah.
up, really informative stuff. One thing I didn't get an answer to though is, and maybe you know this, maybe you don't, is you mentioned it blocks the absorption of sugar, right,
Right.
in the intestinal tract.
Yeah.
Where does it go? Does it just like get flushed out or
Yes,
yeah?
yes. So it just gets flushed out. And I think I'll talk about stabilize too, but like when food doesn't get absorbed the same absorbed or digested, it sort of turns into fiber, and so it keeps you fuller,
Mhm.
and it just passes through naturally.
Oh, okay. That answers my question then. Yeah, that's actually really cool. Because again, for people that don't know, fiber doesn't get digested. It just sits in your intestinal tract and feeds your gut bacteria. So it kind of works in
Right.
that way, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that's really cool. And then
Stabilize.
stabilize.
Stabilize. So this is the one you take 10 minutes before a meal, and it reduces your blood sugar spike by up to 42%.
Wow.
And same with the crash. And it does that because the main ingredient in there is white mulberry leaf. And white
Hmm.
mulberry leaf has, you know, has basically the molecule that looks just like carbs and complex sugars.
Mm.
So when you take it and you eat, a piece of bread, the enzyme in your gut that normally latches onto the carb to digest it gets
Hmm.
distracted by it and latches onto white mulberry leaf instead.
Wow.
So then 40% of what you just ate doesn't get digested the same way. And so it becomes fiber, like you said, and feeds the microbiome.
Hmm. Wow, that's actually really cool too. Now, this one is the other one have taken a few times. And I took this one daily before breakfast. Actually daily. Like that's an
Oh.
accurate use of the word. Uh, and what I noticed, right, with the data of my Aura ring, actually, is what I want to bring up to you here, is my HRV improved after the 2 week period. I think it was like 25% and went up like 25. I think it was at 60 and then got up to like 75 to 80 regularly milliseconds, which is a huge improvement in my recovery
Right.
from my training and how I felt on a day-to-day basis. And I felt like I got improved sleep too, but I'm experimenting with a couple different sleep aids. So I don't want to, give it 100% to this, but there was a correlation for sure.
I'm glad that you're sleeping better
Yeah.
regardless. Without those sort of like high amounts of sugar, you should be sleeping better. But
Right.
I love how that impacts recovery rate, because you talk about why blood sugar is important, but this is like further sort of biomarkers that show beyond the sort of like worst case scenario that having high sugar impacts. Even small things like recovery can have a be optimized by taking care of your blood sugar.
Hmm. Yeah, and then like uh, going further down the line, when you have better recovery, you have lower inflammation in your body, and chronic inflammation is like the number one cause of all major chronic diseases. And
So many things.
yeah, so managing that and improving your recovery to do that in such a simple way, I think is like super valuable, especially for the average really busy person that can't always rely on willpower, which is a huge majority of people.
I mean, there's no surprise there that our society, more and more of us are getting these chronic diseases, and it's becoming more common as we start to eat more processed food compared to, say, our parents' generation or, our grandparents' generation.
No, for sure. I think a combination of the change in the diet and lifestyle and the combination of uh, improved technologies to detect these things, like really made it exponentially uh, increase. Yeah, exponentially increase. I was trying to look for a fancier word for that, but increase works.
So hopefully with this new technology and products like ours, our generation, we're going to stay young forever and and be much healthier.
Yeah, I actually really believe that our generation is going to have more people that live past 100 than any other previous generation because of all of the understandings we have of the human body and technologies that are present for us.
Yeah, hopefully we can have a podcast in 70 years and we can talk about how we predicted this.
Yeah, it might not be a podcast. It might be like a telly.
Yeah, or a
Yeah,
holographic. No, maybe. Yeah, probably it is a
telecommunication.
telecommunication.
That would be really crazy. Nice. So this is actually like again, I've obviously used these and I've personally seen the power of it, and I've given it to my dad who's diabetic, and he's used a couple of them, 2 out of 3 of them, and has seen benefits of it. His doctor has complimented it about it. I want to hear like you have friends and close contacts that have also I'm hoping use your products.
Absolutely.
What are their experiences as well through this? Because I think that's a really cool thing to share too.
Yeah. So I mentioned my friend who's type 1, and I remember when he first got diagnosed a few years ago, he would say, I really want a chocolate croissant this week. So then he's like, do you think I have time to work out before having this croissant so I can have enough insulin? Like, it blew my mind the amount of planning that required for that when I have a gluten allergy and I like recklessly will, I don't even like think about that, but it's like life or death, right? Versus I get sick.
Yeah.
And so now he has stabilized right before he has a bowl of pasta and doesn't need an insulin shot.
Wow.
And he was just like, this is life changing for him. He's like, I don't need to prick I'm saving myself a needle, and I like don't need to take insulin, which is also so expensive right now.
Yeah.
And so, just like this small joy to him was just improved his quality of life so much more. And, I think of people who also say like, when eating is the most lonely part of and the most challenging part in my life in managing blood sugar, because all of our social life is around eating. Thanksgiving, like people are like, oh yeah, like passing it, the mashed potatoes past you, because they're like, you can't have this, and that's when they feel like people feel sorry for them. And now our customers will say, I can now eat it with less guilt and know that's not going to wreak havoc on my body, and I can really focus on enjoying time with family. So, that makes me really, really happy and makes the team really, really happy. I know people who, now take Resist before bed instead of eating ice cream and having that as part of their routine, and been able to cut back sugar significantly. So, just hearing these little stories from customers who like write on our Facebook group or in our social media channels has been really great.
Wow, that's actually so crazy that it's insane to think about, because as someone that doesn't have diabetes or is in that kind of situation, I can't 100% empathize or relate. But when you bring up those stories, it really makes a big difference. And it reminds me of recently, with my father-in-law. My father-in-law is pre-diabetic, and we were having his favorite dessert for dinner, and his kids, my wife and
Yeah.
her sisters, refused to let him have any. Like they were just like kind of eating it in front of him, and he was just sitting there kind of all pouty and sad about it. And I felt so bad for him in that moment. And this was probably a year or so ago, but I remember this moment specifically, um, because again, it's like one of those things you can't experience life to the fullest joy you want to or used to
Right.
because of it.
And I think it's that ability. People ask me this, like, so are you encouraging people to eat unhealthy? I'm like, no, that's not the point. The point is that this is a lifelong journey that you need to manage your blood sugar. If we're constantly depriving people, it just makes it so hard. And eventually there's a slip up, and people will tell us that they're like, I couldn't do it anyway, so why bother? And then everything
Mm-hmm.
falls apart. But if you can allow, say your father-in-law to have his favorite dessert every now and then, because it's not being made every single night, like
Right.
that, being able to get that, like, makes him feel like he's back in control, and he's like, I got this, I can do this
Mm-hmm.
for longer. And and on the other side, for people who don't have sugar or blood sugar issues, like, we talked about our friend Chase, right?
Yeah.
He will have pizza every now and then, but like, it's incredible to see like his Whoop results, where he has pizza but took stabilized before, has better HRV than when on the days where he was very good.
Yeah, and I wanna add to that story is it's when he doesn't just have pizza, he has a box of pizza to himself.
Uh,
So it's an
I
extreme
didn't want to
situation.
point that out, because like the first time he posted about that, I had like anxiety watching it in his stories while he was like ordering that Papa John's extra large pizza with
Yeah.
all the toppings.
Yeah, it blew my mind watching in real time kind of the results because he posted blood sugar beforehand, him ordering the pizza, and
Yeah.
then blood sugar after. It was really, really crazy. Yeah, but yeah, not recommending anyone be that
No.
reckless, obviously, but just kind of to illustrate the power of this fun little product that you have created and have been so successful with.
Yeah. Please be, but it's deprivation. It's not deprivation, it's moderation. Like, that's what
Always,
I,
yeah.
like to tell people.
Hmm. Yeah, no, obviously that's again, I was really excited to have you on the show because we share that philosophy. I am in the fitness industry. I help people with losing weight and dieting. And I say, you could have a donut and lose weight. It's not an all or nothing
Right.
thing, but you just can't have a donut for every single meal of the day as the only thing you eat.
Right.
It's a balance of powers. And, with your health, it's the same exact thing. It's never what you do it's not what you do with every single decision. It's what you do with most
Right.
of your decisions that ultimately influence how
Right.
you live and how you feel.
Right. And it's ability to be a little kinder to yourself when you do have
Mm,
that donut, right? Because I'm sure you find it's the psychology and that mental sort of, self-talk that is a big part of whether you can hit your, fitness goals and your health goals.
mhm. No, for sure. That's a great point. I always forget to talk about because, again, if you think you're supposed to do this 100% of the time and you miss it once, you're going to be super hard on yourself. And again, you're adding stress to your life that doesn't need to be there because
Yeah.
you're able to have that. You just need to allow yourself that permission, um, and that okay mentally. Lovely. Okay, this has been a fantastic conversation, Scarlett. So happy to have you on and talk about all of this. I think the listeners definitely gained a lot and learned a lot as well. Where can people find more about you, SugarBreak, and what you do if they're interested in kind of following through with this?
Yes. Follow us on social media at Take a Sugar Break. Our website is sugarbreak.com. So either way, you can find us and have, get a lot of information. We have all of our studies on our website. We talk in depth about all of our products. And we also have a great Facebook group if you want to talk to other customers and hear their firsthand experience. We would love to keep in touch.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. All of those are linked in the show notes. And I also want to say, Take a Sugar Break is a really great name. I don't know who thought of that, but they deserve, a plaque saying they thought of a great name or something.
Oh, well, mainly it's because someone already took the handle Sugar Break, so then
Oh,
I had to this was my second choice.
no, I love it. That's actually, hey, it worked out for the better, I think, in one way at least, because that's really catchy and it kind of intrigues me at least to kind of look into it deeper. So now, last question for you before I let you go. This is the Not So Stupid podcast, and we really focus on simplicity as a means to improving your life, living a happier, healthier life. What is one simple thing that the listeners can start doing today, maybe even right after taking off their headphones, listening to this podcast, to help improve their life? And it can't be walking, because I get walking all the time. So I want to give a different answer.
Oh, a couple years ago, one of our dietitians who's actually on our advisory board and worked with me in my previous company told me to get a gratitude journal. And so I think that has been incredible. You can write 5 things in the morning and 5 things at night, and really helps you focus on, all the good things that we have in our life. I think, we're so caught up on how busy our lives are, and social media does a lot of comparison, and you sort of forget all the amazing things that we have, and the progress we've made in our lives, I think. So I think having that journal has really helped me.
Oh, I love that. That's actually beautiful. That's the first time I've heard that answer. I'm surprised it's the first time. But it is super powerful. I think you can't ever be in a bad mood when you're thinking about what you're grateful for, right?
Right. And having that written down in the morning and starting your day that way and doing it right before you go to bed, like, it just puts you in such a good mood, and, very important times during the day.
Yeah. No, I like that you pointed that out, because I think you could choose to start the day grateful and happy, or thinking about all the things you have to do and be miserable.
Yeah.
And same thing at night, all the things that went well versus thinking about all the things that didn't go well.
Yeah.
You change how you feel going in and out of the day. Beautiful. Awesome. Well, Scarlett, thank you so much again for coming onto the show and sharing your wisdom and sharing your knowledge about the product. Again, if you're interested in following Scarlett, seeing more of SugarBreak, all of that is going to be in the show notes. And we will see you guys on the next episode.
Thank you for having me.